Aloha, welcome to another tutorial for beginning programming at Brigham Young University, Hawaii. In this video, we'll continue our discussion of decision making with Perl. In particular, we're going to talk about if-else statements. Sometimes we have a default action that we should take or that we want taken if a condition is not met. We could construct if statements for every possible condition, but sometimes we overlook an obvious condition. For example, if we look at this statement that's trying to program an alarm clock, and you can say if time is less than 6, print sleep some more. Then we have another condition, if statement. If time is greater than 6, print wake up. And if you're looking closely, you should be asking yourself, well, what happens if it's exactly 6 o'clock? In the case of this code, nothing happens if it's exactly 6 o'clock. Now, we could add a third if statement that says if time is equal to 6, print wake up or sleep some more, depending on what you want, or we could use a less than or equal to sign. So there's ways of doing this with two if statements. But the point is, sometimes we may not be able to foresee all of the possible conditions. So we use an else statement to avoid overlooking potential conditions, to describe the default action. So when do you have some sort of default action? So if you're taking a look at things that users are doing, if they click on something on the screen, you take an action. But if they're not clicking on anything, you just take the default action. Okay. If someone sends an email to an address at a particular domain, if that email address exists, then the message should be forwarded on. If the email address does not exist at that domain, then you may either want to bounce the message back to the sender, or you may have a catch-all email address that you're using. So there are default actions that regularly take place in computer programming activities, and we use the else statement to describe these default actions. Else statements accompany if statements like this. So we have the if time is less than 6, print sleep some more. Else, print wake up. Or better put, there's an exclamation point, so we say else, print wake up. So that's how you use an else statement. You should pay attention to two things about this. Number one, else statements never have conditions. So it's not appropriate to say else, parenthesis, time is greater than or equal to 6, wake up. That's not what else is for. Else is for all other things besides the condition that's stated. So else statements never have conditions. Number two, else statements are always tied to an if statement. Okay, so we have the if statement before it and the else statement after it. You can't just put else on some line and send Perl some instructions. Else statements always have to be joined with an if statement. Okay? So keep those two things in mind, because that's where a lot of students make mistakes on the exam. Okay, so after watching this video, what should you be able to do? You should be able to add a default action to an if statement that occurs when the condition is not met.